Yeah. Uh. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 2-Point Conversion Monday Night Football pregame show. This Week 8 contest features the Las Vegas Raiders at the Detroit Loser Lions. I'm Kyle Sumner, a bitter Packers fan who despises the team that's at top of the NFC North. And my co-hosts in this spooky Halloween episode with the spooky Halloween font thingy, Gladys Louise Tyler and Dan. The B League says, plus other stuff that I actually can't read. The spooky font really makes it tough to read stuff. But how are you guys doing? How are you doing, Gladys?
I'm doing good. Repping my Scott Fishbowl hat, even though I'm in last place. Because, I'm a Steeler fan, and I'm used to that feeling right now. So
actually, all three of our teams lost this weekend.
I'm go with it.
How was the Battle of New Jersey, York, Giant, Jetness, Snoopy stuff?
It was the most New York thing that could ever happen. It was, if you want to know about if you ask New Yorkers what you want to see between a Jets and Giants game, do you want flashy points, 35-42 wins, touchdowns? No. They'd want a defensive drag-out war in the mud where it's 9-11. And I would bet you 80,000 people went home pretty friggin' happy. Forget the score. They just want the fight. They just want to see a fight. And that's what it was. It was just a shit show of a fight with no points, backup quarterbacks, no passes. Just we're going to run the ball into a brick wall and see who breaks first. It's the most New York thing I could have pictured, to be honest with you. And people would have said, man, what a fight. Oh, my God. That's where they were hanging on that. And I don't think anyone, obviously Giants fans were disappointed with the result, but, what are you going to do with a kid that doesn't play quarterback at quarterback? I'm not sure what the Jersey kid is. He's fine, but, who needs to throw it to wide receivers, right? Even when he threw it to Saquon behind the line, and it was just, whatever. But it was the most New York game I could imagine between New York and New Jersey. Just a mess. It was beautiful.
Would you say that New York is the best team, to echo back last year, the worst 7-1 team ever, all that stuff? Are they the best team to ever set an awful record, which is in this case the fewest passing yards in a single NFL contest ever, including the 1920s when games would end 0-0 because no one.
I'd like to think that if Daniel Jones was playing, the Giants would have won that one comfortably yesterday. The way that if the Jets couldn't beat the Giants like that, and they needed a field goal in the last 30 seconds to ping it upfield to score 2 field goals in the dying seconds of each, the Giants would have won that comfortably. I don't think I'm out of line in saying that. If Tommy DeVito or Danny DeVito or Johnny DeVito, whatever his freaking name is, cannot move the ball and the Giants can lose the game in the last 20 seconds again, then that probably says more about the Jets than it does the Giants, I think. Because, you can flip it and say, oh, what a gritty win for the Jets. No, it was a shitty win. You struggled. You barely
one-letter difference.
You barely beat the Giants with a third-string quarterback who is no good. It's in terrible conditions, mind you. It's not much to hang your hat on to say that they were a better team because I don't think they really were. So, whatever. The Giants were hamstrung by an injury that really kept them back. It's not like we have Well, it is. We have a Tyrod Taylor to back up with Daniel Jones, and Tyrod's done quite well. It's just, what can you do? It is what it is.
Would you say it was really scary to watch that game, really spooky?
No. It was actually what I would have thought was going to come. It just felt like a very New York game. It's just a gritty game where it was played on the ground by choice or not by choice, and just punching each other in the face for no freaking reason. It's very New York. It's like the subway in the 6 o'clock in the morning. Just see people fighting for no reason.
One guy named Saquon just running through everyone for 100 times.
Just people just trying to
so fast.
Each other onto the tracks for no reason. That's just the most New York thing. It just happens.
That's lovely positive attitude to all this. Yeti in here, which can be a scary monster. Ooh, Yeti. He's saying spooky fonts, yo, which I guess is in the spooky fonts, as you can see on the screen. Of course, head over to the Going for Two Live YouTube page if you are just listening to this audio and want to actually see what we're talking about with these spooky fonts. Ooh, again, head over to the Going for Two Live YouTube page. Subscribe there. You can also see us on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter videos. But if you want to, like Yeti, interact in the comments, there's GoFor2.com as well. We want the website, the Discord, Go42 Discord, lots of stuff happening in there. Yeah, the Going for Two Live network has shows all through the weekend, like all through last week and even through the weekend. We saw a lot of people wear costumes. I don't know if anyone tuned in on the DFS show on Friday. Jeff, Tim, and the return of Gerson, or Coach Gerson Prime, G Prime, I guess, which would be an undergraduate's reference. Love that show, undergrads. But yeah, no costumes here. Although I am, again, wearing the touchdown vulture, the scariest creature known to man. Ooh. Kyle Juszczyk. Apparently, Christian McCaffrey though is immune to the touchdown vulture because he's gotten a touchdown 17 straight games, so no vulture in there.
For you. You ready? I got a touchdown vulture for you. Ready? Andrew Beck. Ooh.
Yeah, sorry, Damian Pierce, and everyone who thought Singletary was going to be the guy.
Oh, yeah. I got another one for you. Gus Edwards. Ooh. How many goal line carries did he have in front of Lamar Jackson? Killing me.
I mean, doesn't he lead the team in carries though? I would say Gus Edwards isn't really a touchdown vulture. If anything,
it's on the 1 yard line, man.
Justice Hill was the touchdown vulture to Gus Edwards early in the season.
They're all schmucks. I don't deal with
better
them.
than Melvin Gordon apparently, since he can't even.
Why the hell isn't Lamar just running his head through a wall for that?
Because I don't think they want him to get hurt.
I'm not bitter. I didn't need that.
They've seen what Daniel Jones does when he tries to run too much.
I don't think it's the same thing.
Anyway, so yeah, tonight's game, the Raiders.
Get excited.
Yeah, get amongst it. Get around him, as Yeti said. Get around him.
Has the Detroit Lions? No one else can wear 20. Is that the deal? Like only Barry Sanders has number 20. Because
I could look it up.
Can you for me, please?
Yeah.
Because like Barry Sanders was on the pregame show, and Ryan Clark was like a little schoolgirl because Barry Sanders knew who he was. He was like, they wouldn't even let him talk to him. But there was a bunch of 20 jerseys, and I guess they were all Barry Sanders. So has the number 20 been taken away? What is it called? Retired from?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there are retired numbers. Oh yeah. Okay, so here's the thing.
Okay.
They have retired number 20, and there are 3 players in their history who have worn number 20. So Barry Sanders, obviously being the most famous,
right.
But then Learn Barley, who was a cornerback,
okay,
played from 67 to 77, and then another running back, Billy Sims, not Phil Sims, but Bill Sims, who played from 80 to 84.
Billy's the Texas guy? Billy Sims of Texas.
I will look that up now. I don't know.
Okay.
He went to Oklahoma. I don't think he's a coach.
Oklahoma?
It doesn't look like he's a coach. If that's what.
So now it's retired. So it's like
Yeah.
if you're 20, it's associated with Barry Sanders, even though those other guys wore it. No one cares because he's Barry Sanders, and he has a statue in front. And when you have a statue in front of a stadium, you pretty much own it.
Doak Walker, a kicker and punter and halfback for the Lions, had his number retired as well, 50 to 53.
Doak Walker?
Doak Walker.
I like that name. That's a football name.
Yeah.
Doak.
Jared Dokes, not sorry, Miami, for I guess it was like a 7th round pick anyway. But yes, so yeah, we're going to talk about the Raiders Lions game tonight. We'll preview some other things as well. If we want to talk about backup quarterbacks on the waiver wire and other topics, we'll get to that. Dan, is there Gladys? We want to hear Dan rant, right? I don't know if the
When don't we? When don't we?
What do you want me to rant about?
Well, I was wondering, obviously, I'm sure there's other things other than the Giants that either.
I can give you something if I can rant about something that is non-football related.
Sure.
Yeah.
How the fuck has Erling Haaland not won the Ballon d'Or?
I'm sorry, what?
How?
Yeah, I don't know what anything
How has Lionel Messi beat him for the Ballon d'Or? The guy plays for fucking Miami. That's not a real league. This guy literally scored nearly 100 goals through the Premier League, Champions League, and everything else.
Who?
Won everything. Erling Haaland. He plays for Man City. I'm a Man United guy, and I'm touting a Man City player to be the best in the world. The guy clearly is the best player in the world. It's not even close. Okay, Messi scored a pretty cool free kick against fucking Cincinnati on a Tuesday. Congratulations. I could have done that, dickhead. It's just one of those things that this guy has absolutely no right winning if you play in the MLS. You have zero credibility. I don't give a shit if you won the World Cup. It makes no difference to me. None. 11 other players for Argentina won the World Cup, not Lionel Messi. Best player, Erling Haaland. It's not even close. No other player in Europe was scoring 50 to 60 goals like Haaland last year, and he gets overlooked for a 38-year-old schmuck playing in Miami. It is the most mind-blowing thing I have seen in I don't know how long. It's beyond me. He couldn't get a kick in PSG. He had to leave Paris for Miami. He was no good. He was a bum there. They won nothing. Ridiculous. Oh, they won the French league. Very good. They've won it like 15 times out of the last 17. It's nothing special. Shit. Oh my God. If he had
Erling Harley. What is his name?
Erling Haaland. He's a Norwegian lad, plays for Man City. If he hadn't have won the World Cup, if it was just club-to-club competition, Haaland hammers him. And it's not even close.
Haaland hammer.
He absolutely smashes him on this. It's not close. It's not even a conversation. But, the World Cup that Norway wasn't even in. Argentina nearly lost to Australia, mind you. That's how good they were. They beat us 2-1. Congratulations. We're up 1-0. Fuck. Mind-blowing. That has happened. They've allowed that to happen. Let's create new stars by relying on 38-year-old Lionel Messi to give him his 8th. Very good, because he deserved it. Well done. He came off the bench. He plays off the bench for Miami. He doesn't even start.
You got to preserve that 38-year-old body.
He comes on. He scores 2 goals in like 15 minutes. Great. Against fucking Kansas City, he should. Like, this guy scored. He smashed Real Madrid. This kid smashed Bayern Munich. He smashes Liverpool. He's smashing Milan. He's smashing the best teams in the world. Nah, let's give it to Lionel Messi while he's playing in Miami because he did something in December that was decent in a team game. Get the fuck out of here. That's all I have to say about that.
Erling Haaland. Oh, I learned something today. I'd never heard of him before.
Yeah. First year in the Premier League, scores like 40 goals. He breaks the
47,
Premier League.
I just looked. Yeah.
He broke the Premier League goal scoring record in his first try. Madness. No, let's give it to Messi because he did good against.
Now, has Messi ever played in the Premier League?
No, but Lionel Messi did good against New England Revolution. Good job. Fucking ridiculous. Madness. I can't put that's FIFA, European football. It's all corrupt. I understand it, where the money lies. I get it. I'm not surprised that the blood money has come through for a guy that played for the blood team. I'm not saying anything else other than that. I'm not saying Qatar Airways had anything to do with it. Or the 115 match financial regulations at Man City either. Or like they have at Barcelona, or the match fixing going on there. I'm just saying their favourite son won another award. That's all I'm saying.
Now, is there like a golden boot award for like best goal scorer that Haaland would still be able to win?
He won everything. Golden boot, player of the year. He literally won everything but that.
Not the golden ball.
No.
I suppose if you have the golden ball without the boot and you tried to kick it, break your foot. So at least having a golden boot is nice. I understand.
Lionel Messi was friggin' amazing against the Portland Timbers. He did great. He did wonderful. He deserved everything he gets because he smashed the Vancouver Whitecaps. Congratulations, Lionel.
Love those jerseys.
You sold out a 15,000-seater stadium again. Congratulations. Ridiculous.
BC plays.
Fucking madness.
The Lions the BC Lions draw way more than the Whitecaps, I'm pretty sure.
Madness.
He should, because the BC Lions are actually good. The Whitecaps are, I believe, not. But I also don't care. So yeah, that's enough of the other football. Let's get to the NFL football, the better kind.
I need a minute. Go.
Well, here well, you know what? I'll do the underdog promo. Here, I'll even hide Dan on the screen. I won't even go to the other version. But yes, play Underdog Fantasy with the spooky font this time. Use the spooky promo code GF2. GF2. For those who didn't understand. Or scan the QR code. If you use that when entering your first deposit on Underdog, they will match it up to $100. So whatever you put in for your first initial deposit with the promo code GF2, you will have double that amount in your account up to $100. Use it to play underdog contests with their particular paw-fict vernacular. Paws as in dogs. Dog paws. I shouldn't pause on this. But yes, Underdog Fantasy. We're going to talk about some underdog statistics and projections tonight in terms of contests to play, whether it's against the spread, over, under, or player props. I don't care if I can't use the words. There's no other way to explain it. And our typical, each of us will give 3 as part of our parlays for Monday night. Join now. Okay, Dan, was that enough time?
No,
I guess not. Okay. But anyway, I'll introduce the game. It's the Las Vegas Raiders at the Detroit Lions. Lions favored by 7. The higher lower set on Underdog at 47 points.
When did that go up? When did it go up to 47? It was 46.5, wasn't it?
Dan shared it with us earlier. I thought it was 47.
Okay.
Did I copy that wrong?
No, you probably didn't. It just probably.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if it has
moved.
Yeah, it's probably moved since, or gone up, gone down, elevator, escalator.
It probably went up when I guess when Jimmy G was solidified as a starter. They probably moved it up.
They moved. I guess more points. And
Yeah.
I guess Amon-Ra is expected to play as well, right?
Well, apparently he has the same Malay as Patrick Mahomes did yesterday. So the flu bug is going around the NFL or something.
Yeah. So I guess we'll find out. I noticed like there was barely any props available for Amon-Ra, just fantasy points essentially. So
Yeah, I think that I don't think that they said for sure he was going to play yet. I mean that he's still questionable up until the last minute because of his illness. But even if, I don't know.
makes me confident in Josh Reynolds tonight, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know if
I didn't go with a Sam Laporta prop, but I was thinking about it pretty heavily.
Ooh, yeah. I didn't even look at the Detroit props. I just stayed with Vegas. I don't know why. I think because Amon-Ra, he's like the cog in that offense. So if he goes or if he doesn't go, it changes drastically either way. And if he goes and he's like a decoy, and you choose a prop based on the fact that he's starting, you're screwed again. So I just stayed with Jimmy G and Devontae, and hope Jacob Myers does some stuff because I have him in a fantasy league.
But yes, so we'll start off with the team picks and the over/under. Dan, you ready?
Yeah,
Kyle, did you go 3 for 3 last week?
I did go 3 for 3 last week. The first time I've done that all year.
Damn it.
Actually, you've only done it once as well, Gladys.
Yeah, I know.
Dan has not yet gone 3 for 3. Now, in everyone else's defense, I've gone 0 for 3 times, which Gladys has never done. And in fact, Gladys barely even goes almost. I think you have 1 week, Gladys, or 2 weeks where you only got 1 right. So you've been pretty consistent. Dan went 0 for 3 the last time the Raiders played. So let's see what happens.
All right, so let's cover Detroit at the moment. So we're looking at Detroit going 5-2, beating the spread. Detroit are 2-1, beating the spread at home and as a home favorite. Detroit are 4-3 going over this year. Detroit are 2-1 at home and as a home favorite going over. So everything is Vegas, however, on the road. Vegas are 4-3 against the spread this year. Vegas are 1-3 against the spread on the road. Vegas are 5-2 going under. Vegas are 2-2 going under on the road. Vegas are 1-2 as an away underdog.
So I know initially you put all those Detroit points out as strong indicators of why you went Detroit as 7-point favorites.
Detroit +7 and higher.
And Gladys, you actually made those same two picks: Detroit favored by 7 and the higher on 47.
Yes, I did. Detroit.
I don't doubt that Vegas can put up points. They're not. Their run game is going to struggle. Their run game has struggled this year. Josh Jacobs struggled this year. If Garoppolo can get to Adams enough and get those, ancillary pieces around, moving well enough, Jacoby Myers, the tight ends can chip in. They can put up enough points to compete. I'm not talking like 24, 25. I'm not talking about that. The question I have for you two is, can they get to 18? Can they get to 18 points?
Against Detroit.
Detroit.
Can Detroit get to 18 or can Vegas get to 18?
Can Vegas get to 18?
Against Detroit's defense? Yes. Yes.
Can Detroit put up 30?
Yes. At home?
So we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Detroit is.
Under lights in a dome, Goff with his team.
They average 32.6 points at home. Detroit.
There you go.
So,
if we can say that Detroit can get to at least 30, can we see that happening? Yeah, I can see this one going over.
Yeah.
That's a lot of good, sound statistical analysis for why everyone should pick the Lions as 7-point favorites and the higher. However, I'm going to say do the exact opposite because I'm picking the Raiders as 7-point underdogs, and I'm going with the lower. The
sound statistical analysis is also not normally my thing, but we got to do that this week.
I mean, you do have a show based on that on Wednesdays, the B League's Pick'em show. So
statistics went out the window and last week. It didn't matter.
Someone had to go against Travis Kelce. Someone had to go against Austin Eckler last week. It was this guy. Someone had to do it.
Statistics didn't matter last week. Most of my things are based on statistics, and it sucked. Nothing that should have been statistically logical happened. It was Will Levis throwing 4 touchdowns, 3 to D-Hop.
And for that reason, because it's spooky season and nothing makes sense, I'm just picking the Raiders just because I don't like the Lions and I don't want to pick them, so I'm picking the Raiders.
But why are you going under though?
Hashtag.
Well, honestly,
he's hoping for a shit fest.
Sorry, Dan?
He's hoping for a shit fest. That's what he's hoping for you.
So, looking at our Monday nights, in the case, there's a bit of statistical analysis here.
Okay.
We've had one Monday night game hit the over.
Right.
And it was 38 points as the higher under.
And what was the teams? What were the teams?
It was the Steelers and Browns.
Okay. All right.
Which is why it was set so low. But so far, that's the only one that's been able to hit over. The way I see it, I'm probably just going to hammer the lower every week. And I've gotten, and I'll get to our individual records. I wanted to, because we're almost about halfway through the season, so I thought I'd spook you guys with what, pulling back the curtains on how we've done in specific areas. But it's funny. We're all 6-3 on higher and lowers this year, and I think we've only had 2 weeks where all 3 of us picked the same one. So it's been kind of all over the place. But 2 of the 3 I've gotten wrong. I picked the higher on, and those are the only 2 weeks I think I picked the higher. So I've had such a good I think that one game where it was 38. I still took the lower on that one, even though it was so low. But my point being, I'm just going to automatically take the lower unless the higher lower is 42 points or below. Because anything higher than that, I just feel like it's just not hitting. We're just not seeing them hit on Mondays. So I'm just gonna keep going with that trend. So again, not much statistical backing to any of that, but I went 3-0 last week, so I'm feeling cocky. What can I say? You guys did all the work all season, and I touchdown vultured last week and just took all the prize.
I get why you've done that too. It absolutely makes sense. I also feel like Detroit prime time on a Monday against Vegas could put 45 up.
Yeah, they might get covered on their own. That's the fear.
It's such a weird thing that they could absolutely smash them this week, and that's after what happened last week with them against Baltimore. I could see them wanting to fire up and chase a high points total too. They're not going to want to make those same mistakes again. I think the good thing about this is as much as we're not Jimmy Garoppolo people, he is able to get it to Devontae Adams. He is able to get it to Jacoby.
I never said I was not a Jimmy Garoppolo person.
I know you have a thing for it. I get it. I understand the dimple on his chin. I get it.
Yeah.
However, he's capable enough to move a team around. Maybe not so much as he was in San Fran. but he's capable enough to keep them around, and that's all you need from him, is to give the Lions a reason not to take their foot off the pedal. My worry about this is if they just blow them out the first half, it's just whatever from halfway through the third onwards. And
I guess the one thing that kind of in favor of the lower is because Amon-Ra really doesn't seem like he's feeling great. Like, is that enough to just hold the points to where they'll score 46 and just hit that lower? Like, they'll combine for 46. I'm wondering if that happens. So.
I think at their core, coaches are punters as well, and they like hitting the overs for the people. So that's what I think when they can, they do. So.
Well, I mean, I think Dan Campbell was a tight end.
There we go.
No,
he was a blocking tight end though, so he doesn't really matter.
That's why he loves the run game so much, right? Which I guess maybe they just focus so much on the run game and keep it. They slow it down, not a ton of points, and it keeps it low. So that's what I'm, I guess, hoping for to hit the lower there. But yeah, we can get to the individual player picks. So who would like to begin? Or do you guys want me to start?
Yeah, we do.
I'll go first. Come on, host, go first.
Well, all that talk of the Lions keeping things low and running, I'm gonna almost hedge against that because just looking through, one of the things I noticed in 3 years with the there it is. In 3 years with the Lions, Goff has played 37 games. 26 of those he has thrown more than 32 and a half pass attempts, and only 11 he's gone lower. So, like, of all the stats I was interested in looking at, and one secret I'm doing, I'm staying away from receiver props the rest of the year, and I'll get to it in a sec. But like, it's been a disaster for me. I've had much better luck with quarterback picks, although I haven't gone with pass attempts yet. So this is a bit of a gamble, but I just seeing how often Goff just throws that, whether they win or lose, I think there'll be enough pass attempts. And like Dan was saying, I think the Raiders are a good enough team to keep it close to where they can't just completely shut down and only focus on the run game, especially no David Montgomery, I think means Goff's going to have at least 33 pass attempts. So I'm going Jared Goff higher than 32 and a half pass attempts.
I don't remember. What was Adams' receiving yards?
I had a 75 and a half.
So I'm going to go higher than 75 and a half receiving yards for Davante Adams. With Jimmy G, he averages 79.2 receiving yards. Without him, he averages 66. And the Lions have given up 54, 89, and 91. 91 to Christian Watson with Jordan Love. 89 to Kendrick Bourne with Mac Jones. And then 54 to DJ Moore. And I'm pretty sure that I would put Jimmy G at least on the same slightly higher level than those three quarterbacks. And I'm putting Davante Adams way higher than all three of those receivers. So I'm going higher than...
Yeah, we may not be the highest on Garoppolo, but he's definitely way better than Jordan Love.
And Mac Jones.
Well, yeah.
And whoever played for Chicago that week.
Tyson Fields.
Was
Justin
it Fields?
Badgett. Nathan Peterman, for all we know.
Yeah.
Nathan Rourke could be better. Nathan Peterman, that's clear.
Doesn't
Nathan
matter.
Rourke could be better than Jordan Love, too. That'd be fair.
Jimmy G is going to pepper Davante Adams, I think, a lot. Which I'm not loving because I have Jacoby Myers in one of my leagues, and I probably need him, but I don't care.
He peppers both, right? Like, that's one of
Yeah.
those where both of them will just see so many targets and no one else will get any.
I'm okay with that.
That's how it should be. They're the two best pass catchers. So,
Exactly.
like, a smart quarterback would, and that's what Garoppolo
Well, I think I don't know that I have that stat on me, but I think that he also peppers Josh Jacobs. Like, Jacobs' receiving yards and targets go up when Jimmy G's under center.
Sure. I mean, that's the offensive system. Like, McDaniels has done that more than Gruden did. Bisaccia's whoever was his offensive coordinator also did that too. It was weird. Gruden, this offensive genius, just didn't throw to this talented pass catching running back ever.
I'm tired of people being called offensive geniuses when Sean
They're
Payton.
not? Yeah.
When they're not.
That was meant to be a sarcastic offensive
okay.
genius at John
Cool.
Gruden. Sorry.
No worries. I didn't
My tone
catch
was
that Canadian sarcasm.
Yeah.
It's just like whatever
No.
in my head.
John Gruden is one of the most overrated coaches ever. Yeah, he has I'll rant. Okay, yeah, he has a Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's defense. All you have to do is
Thank
show
you.
up and, like,
Use Tony Dungy's players.
yeah, and then basically, oh, look at that, the defense won the Super Bowl. Your
yeah.
offensive genius system Like, what did it do? What was this great offense the Buccaneers had all these great years? Yeah, they didn't really have a quarterback, but that team was often carried by the defense.
Sean Payton's great offensive whiz. He's gonna make the Broncos relevant again. Does he have Drew Brees? No. Is Russell Wilson Drew Brees? No. Quit trying to make Russell Wilson Drew Brees and play within the system that you have.
As an anti-Drew Brees guy, I often said Russell Wilson was better than Drew Brees, but he certainly hasn't been the last 2-3 years.
Well,
Prime
not
Russell,
if you're. Yeah.
Prime
no.
Russell Wilson, I argue, was better than Drew Brees, but current Russell Wilson is most definitely not.
Ugh.
Danger Rich Russ is just. He might be worse than Jordan. Actually, no, he's still better than Jordan Love. At
What
least
did
he
he
can
have,
throw an
19
accurate
attempts
screen
left?
pass to a receiver
19
that's like
attempts
5
Sunday?
yards away from him. Jordan Love can't.
Okay. We'll
At least he
see.
can't on every play. He can do it.
Once they get rid of Cortland and Jerry Jeudy, we'll see how that works out for him.
I mean, they have another 24 hours, a little less than that, to trade him away.
Yeah.
Have we delayed long enough for Dan to make his player
I think so. I hope so.
pick?
I made my pick.
Oh, what is
Oh,
it?
go ahead.
I told you it's Halloween. We're going Mike Myers higher than 21.5 receiving yards. It's
Okay.
happening.
Oh, yeah, you wrote it differently in the chat. I didn't understand what any of that said. Okay.
I said it's Halloween, motherfuckers. Mike Myers higher than 21.5 kills. That's what we're doing. It's Halloween. How can we not get on Mike Myers in Halloween?
Oh,
We have
Yeah.
to.
I had no idea what you're talking about because I don't watch scary movies.
21.5 yards. It's up to 23.5 now if you're playing on underdog, but we made these picks earlier today, so I'm going to draw the line at
Nope, go on 23. It's spooky Halloween. We're scaring you. I'm just kidding.
Fuck it, let's do it.
21.
Whatever. I don't care. Outside of the Texans, who have played one fewer game like Detroit, they are in the top 10 for targets and receptions to the tight end. Top 6 yards given, and they have conceded more tight end touchdowns to anyone but the Jets with 4. So I feel like a way through for them could be a cheap way with Mike Myers. And in saying that, it's probably an Austin Hooper game.
I was looking at the 11.5 receiving yards for Hooper, and it was 10.
Yeah. I mean, he had a pretty big week. He had a decent week about two weeks ago, and that was with Hoyer, I think. And
he had 20 yards.
yeah, no, he had a bit more than that. Yeah, let me bring that up again for Myers. He actually had a decent output.
Oh, you're talking about Meyer, not Hooper. You're right. He did have a good week with Hooper.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things. Let's have a look. 2 weeks ago against New England, 6-5 for 75. So in the last few weeks, he's had 13 targets in the last 3 weeks, which is probably on par for most average to mid tight ends. Around 4 a game. That's just about where he's at. But if he can do that, 5 yards of reception, I think we can get there. And
I just want to shout out Matthew Lincoln in the chat saying this is a must-win game for the Raiders, and he's calling it a win. And I took the Raiders as 7-point underdogs, so we'll see if I'm hoping he's right. Gladys and Dan do not. I will never cheer for the Lions.
I am indifferent to your NFC North issues. I am a betting man, and I don't care if they win or lose. It's just I don't think they're going to get close to them.
And to be honest, it's back to our tendencies. We have gone 0 for 3 when we all have the same pick against the spread. So I also wanted to avoid that.
So me and Gladys should be feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah.
Because I did, if I had chosen the Lions, the Raiders would have won. But because I chose not to, you guys are going to get it right. So there you go. You're welcome. It's my Halloween treat. That's all a trick. Haha.
Thank you, Carl, for giving us this bounty of sacrifice on this Halloween. Thank you, Carl.
I'll fall on the sword if it means cheering against the Lions. I'll do it every time.
Good for you. I like the spiteful pettiness.
Very petty, yes.
You Packers people have an incredible pettiness. You've dominated the division for 30 years, but someone wins like 8 games. It's like, screw them. Like, it's madness.
Yeah.
Wild.
I mean, Jim Caldwell, the beating the Packers in 62 and preventing the Packers having a perfect season. Yeah, that stuff's in there too. You're right. It is just about this season. Yes. I totally did not despise the Lions 8 months ago. That's for sure.
No, you guys just get so mad. You guys made the playoffs last year, right?
No.
Who stopped you?
The Lions.
There you go. We could keep going further if you want, but they won like 8 games and then lost in Seattle and knocked everyone out. Like, speaking of Seattle, top of the NFC West. How about that?
Yep.
I
The
mean,
the 49ers on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was just joking with my friend who's an Eagles fan like a few weeks ago, like I guess 3 weeks ago when they started the losing streak. And it's like, man, the Eagles and 49ers play later this year. I wonder if they'll both be undefeated going into that game. Nope.
I love the narrative that San Fran have lost 3 in a row, but Brock Purdy hasn't lost 3 in a row. But Brock Purdy won 15 games straight, not San Fran. All right.
System QB, the system broke down. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all Debo's absence ruined everything, even though McCaffrey's still smashed.
McCaffrey's ribs and Trent Williams and all the reasons why everyone else sucks, but not him. Yeah, no.
I will say I'm glad I didn't trade away Brock Purdy in the FBC Dynasty League. I instead traded away Kirk Cousins and kept Purdy and Dak, and now that looks like an amazing decision.
Yeah. Good for you, Carl. I'm happy for you. Thank you for sending me the same trade in the same week.
I was trying to sell Thielen. Eventually, I got it done. It took me 2 weeks later.
Which is funny because we were talking about it last week. We were talking about it, and then you've sent me the same trade. I said no to him. Like, he's ribbing me here. He's ribbing me. He's ribbing me. He knows what he's doing. But
I just lost track. I was trying to. I spammed everyone who's in the playoffs right now for the same offer.
Ah, so you're that guy.
Yeah. No one took it. Until then, you saw the trade I made with Yeti today. So
It was a nice trade, to be fair. It was a very good trade. I thought it was quite good.
I gave up Thielen and a Palmer. I got a second and a third. Seconds in 24, thirds in 25.
Palmer, if I remember correctly, pre-draft, Josh Palmer was my most rostered wide receiver. One of those weird late-round guys that I was taking a fair bit.
And then Huge came along. Quentin Johnston, by the way.
Yeah, one game. I have him in that FPC league, and I just whatever.
Taxi Squad. That's what it's there for. Marvin Mims, I don't care that he's not getting any routes or targets. Sean Payton barely plays him. He's on the Taxi Squad. Nathan Rourke, I don't care that he's the third stringer for the Jags. He's on the Taxi Squad.
There you go. Someone's going to sign him.
The Packers should. He'd be better right now than Jordan Love. I guarantee it.
Contavious Street was traded to Atlanta after Grady Jarrett tore his ACL.
Jesus.
I think the Falcons gave up a 6th or something.
6th for a 7th with Sweat, yeah.
Eagles, with their depth that goes 13 deep on the defensive line, yeah, we can get a pick for them. Sure.
Yeah. Eagles.
We're not threatened by the Falcons.
Yeah.
If we have to play the Falcons in the playoffs, I think we'll be happy. That's fine.
Giants traded Leonard Williams today, so I'm happy with that.
Got a second.
Yeah.
And something else too, I think.
He needs to go.
Seattle, Dave, the division leading Seattle Seahawks just got stronger.
What's he going to do? What's he going to do?
There's actually some.
I didn't even know he was on the Giants until we saw that he traded him.
Well, I think it's actually better for Bobby Wagner than it is for Leonard. I think he helps take some pressure off that line, and the actual studs that Seattle has on that line.
Defensive lines do tend to help linebackers out to be.
So I think it's a lot better for Bobby Wagner.
So go pick up Bobby Wagner in IDP.
In the IDP leagues, yes.
I traded for him last week.
Good job.
Good job.
I did. I traded for him, Julian Blackman, and someone else. In IDP. I traded for those two guys. Pretty happy about that.
It's funny because like the over-unders. Well, yeah, we're not talking about underdog. We're just talking about straight over-unders. Aren't that high this week? At least on today's what today's line state.
Neither are the
three
splits.
games.
Like neither are most of them are 2.5 points.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most like there's one road favorite next week. But yeah, only 3 games above 50. But there's still some intriguing matchups like the Seahawks Ravens. That should be really interesting. 2 division winners, 42.5 in that one. So they have the Seahawks implied total at 18.5 today.
That's not that uncommon to have only 3 games above 50 because I think it was last week there was no games on the morning slate above 41. So there's been some real.
Well, last week there were 6 games above 50, but none were higher than 47.
Just remind me what was the score between Chicago and the Chargers last night?
Like 30-13 or something like that.
But that game would have been given 47, and it still wouldn't have hit, no matter what the Chargers did. Do you know what I mean?
I think it opened at 45 last week. Yeah.
Pittsburgh and Tennessee on Thursday night's not even at 30.
Yeah, 36.
Why are we even talking about that game?
Which is funny because that was the Giants Jets opening line last week too. Was 36.5.
In terms of games that are above 50, you've got Miami and Kansas, except that game's in Stuttgart.
Yeah.
Get up early.
Yeah, das ist nicht gut. Nicht gut. Nicht gut. But you're looking at other games as well, like Arizona. Like if Kyler Murray starts, that's at 37.5 right now.
That should definitely go up.
Yeah, that'll go up if Kyler Murray starts.
Although again, that's because it's the Browns' defense, right? They've been holding teams low implied totals. That is the lowest of the week today, 15.75. The Cardinals.
Injured quarterbacks like levying everything down, right? So PJ Walker's up against Arizona. We don't know the quarterbacks. That's under 40.
Yeah.
Chicago's probably got Bagent playing again at New Orleans. That's under 40.
He's already called it.
I don't know who the quarterbacks
playing.
are. I don't know who the quarterbacks for Minnesota versus Atlanta is. Right?
Yeah, in either game, really. Yeah, you're right. That one's at 37.5. Yeah.
Right.
But that Bills-Bengals game, it makes it. If you can just drudge through Sunday, Bills-Bengals Sunday Night Football, that should be worth it. Hopefully.
Dallas at Philly's interesting.
Yeah.
They play this week, but even that one's at 46.5.
Yeah.
So they have that at 46.5. And to be fair, I thought Tampa did quite well on Thursday night. They played all right at Buffalo. Tampa and Houston's only at 40.
All right, was it just me, or did Baker Mayfield hold onto the ball an extremely long time? Like he was holding on to that. What?
He was allowed to. Buffalo didn't get close to him, I don't think.
No, they didn't. But he held onto that ball forever, and maybe it was in comparison to how fast Josh Allen was getting rid of the ball. But it seemed to me that Mayfield was like, and I understand the secondary was covering, like Evans couldn't get any separation, and Godwin, God only knows, because I didn't play him, decided that he was going to ball out for one game. Thank you, Chris. But he came in with a hurt
I'm in one
designation.
league, and I still lost. So
He started with a hurt designation. Anyway,
it was
I don't want to talk
questionable
about
Thursday
it.
night. True questionable.
Yeah. So, but it seemed to me that, and that's the first Tampa game I've seen this year. So I don't know if that's a thing with him, but he seemed to be holding on that ball a long time.
But when he didn't, you have a look at Rashad White's 70-odd receiving yards. When he had to get rid of it, he found that dump off real quick.
Yeah.
He found it real quick, or he scooted away, and he got it was a lot of dink and dunk. Like, let's not mistake what he did. He had one nice pass to Evans. I think that got called back for offensive holding. Godwin did okay. Kate Otton's not really a thing. It's such a weird team to watch because they still put up some decent points on the road in Buffalo, right? Like, they still kind of got away with one.
Well, I mean, Godwin came into the game with 10 red zone targets and 0 touchdowns. So he was due for a positive touchdown regression. However, again, he came into a Thursday night game with an injury designation and he still played, which drives me freaking crazy. Mike Evans wasn't. Yeah. And I heard that what's his face said, McDermott said that's who they were trying to take out of the game, and they did. Like, Evans could not be
because
found.
they knew Godwin wasn't going to be 100% even.
Yeah, and I just Rashad White. Like, I went over in one bet on his receptions because it's the only way he's even fantasy relevant. He's not fantasy relevant as a running back. He's only fantasy relevant because he's getting targets and he's catching.
That team had 5 rushing touchdowns all of last year. They might get only that this year.
I know. And then Lenny, who just signed Fournette? The Bills.
Buffalo.
Like, they need Leonard Fournette.
Well, I wonder if what they had planned for Damian Harris is what they're going to give to Leonard Fournette now that Harris might not play for the rest of the season.
Goal line carries.
Goal line carries.
Goal line carries. He's going to, kill my Josh Allen's.
Do you know what's funny about that? Is because
I almost still throw a touchdown.
To be fair, I've had to watch a bit of the Bills lately because obviously the Thursday night game they played the Giants the week before, so I had a bit of investment in watching it. Latavius Murray was getting stuffed on the goal line a few times as well. It was such a weird thing to see because normally he buries it. So I understand if Fournette's coming into a role with he can help with that or block for Allen in that regard. But they got bigger problems than this. They look so discombobulated. They're hard to watch at the moment. Like, they barely beat the Giants. And let's face it, the Giants cocked up again to allow that to happen.
To another New York team. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a theme.
Tampa with a better team again. It's just one of those weird things where, they play Cincy prime time this week in Cincinnati, who just slapped San Fran this week. They smashed them.
Okay, I think that people were going with that narrative that, oh my God, Cincinnati's they're done. They started 0-3. Again, they always start slow. He started slower because of that calf injury. This is a Cincinnati that people are going to start seeing. I mean,
All 4 years of Joe Burrow's career, they've started awful.
yeah.
And other than his rookie season, they've turned it around and made the playoffs. And they
Exactly.
didn't turn it around because he tore his ACL his rookie year.
To be fair, that division's crazy. It's a shame about Pickett because
Whatever.
like it is a
Matt Canada. That's a shame about Matt Canada.
PJ Walker was a Jackson Smith-Njigba touchdown away from going 3-0 as a starter,
I know.
shame. Like that's wild.
which
Like,
is a wild statement to say in both regards.
like,
PSN finally scored.
Baltimore's like giving up more fourth quarter leads, right? The games have lost have all been in the fourth quarter. They've given up more fourth quarter leads than anyone in the league this year. So like you look at that and you're like, if Baltimore had their head screwed on, they should be running away with this, and it should be Cincinnati in trouble. What is it, Baltimore 6-2 or something, right?
Yes.
No one's talking about them at 6-2. They're talking about Jacksonville and Miami and Kansas, but Baltimore at 6-2 and they've screwed up twice. That's freaking madness. No one's.
People should start worrying because Baltimore is starting to get comfortable with the Todd Monken offense, and that's going to be nasty.
That might be your Super Bowl team, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
You're right, Dan. No one is talking about it, but you are.
Against Detroit, we saw what they could do.
We're all
We
talking
saw
about
what the
the same
Monken offense can do. I
They're
mean,
doing it with Gus Edwards. They're doing it with like the ghost of Odell Beckham. To be fair, Beckham took one like a champ yesterday. You guys seen him take that hit?
Oh,
my
he did
God.
something? Because he took more hits than he had catches.
Let me tell you something. Buddha Baker leveled him.
Yeah.
Leveled him. But like
It hurt me.
Bateman half turned up, but not really. Zay Flowers wasn't really there. Mark Andrews is okay. Like they're not really doing anything to win these games. Not like last week was different because Lamar went bonkers, but like against Detroit, but they're not really doing anything to wow you. And
they're playing down to the level of their competition is what they're doing. If their competition is good, they're playing good. The reason they played so well against Detroit was because Dan Campbell said before the game something to the effect of, well, if we take away Lamar's rushing ability, we're going to be okay. And that's why they went bonkers through the air, because they're like, oh, yeah? So this is what we can do. Exactly.
Dan Campbell forgot that his secondary is not that great. Yeah, no, we're daring to throw. Go on, do
It's
it.
not like they've wasted like the 3rd overall pick on a corner on that team or anything.
Madness.
That division, Baltimore should be far and away so far ahead in that division. There's no reason Pittsburgh should be undefeated in the division. There's
The whole is upside down at the moment. Everyone's like singing Miami again, but like they beat the Patriots because a week ago, who have you beaten? And they're like they smashed the Patriots, and everyone's like, "Go Miami!" It's like,
Who have you beaten? Yeah.
it's last week.
Well, hey, if they beat the Chiefs if they beat sick Patrick Mahomes in Germany, will that count?
Can we count overseas games? I mean, I don't even want to count.
Counts in the standings.
I can't.
Yeah, but not
even talk about it.
as a statistical barometer. I mean, I don't think teams play overseas.
I mean, that's true. London games basically account for like 20% of Mercedes Lewis's career touchdowns. So, yeah.
Right. I think overseas games, for whatever reason, are an anomaly to my statistical variances. And
I mean, the Bills sucked in London, but they've sucked in North America too. So I don't think it's that much of an anomaly.
Isn't that where they started sucking? Like they were on a really high. Like they had done really well for like.
They started sucking right here on Monday Night Football. Remember, they couldn't beat Zach Wilson week 1.
Okay, they had.
There's such a weird team that it's one of those things you feel like they're going to win if Gabe Davis goes off.
Oh.
It's got nothing to do with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs.
So parlay any Bills wins with Gabe Davis receiving yards props.
You can have Stephon Diggs go for $150. They could still lose like 12-9.
Yeah, but did you notice that Thursday Davis wasn't doing his usual just go long?
Just caught
he was running routes. He was running.
Shakir had 100 yards. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
like
it was.
There was something going on with them preseason with Stephon Diggs as well. There's something weird going on up there. I can't put my finger on it, but the competition out of the division got even the Jets are 4-3, right?
Yep.
Even the Jets are 4-3. They were on the same win-loss record, I think.
I don't know. If
they got to be close at 4-3.
Look it up.
I love Robert Saleh. That's all I care about. I don't know why.
Hey, he finally has a winning record. Yeah. Okay. So Dolphins are 6-2. Bills are 5-3. Jets are 4-3.
So the Jets have played one less game.
Yeah.
So, like, it's one of those. It's wild to think that they're one win behind the Bills, who were maybe Super Bowl favorites at one point.
Oh, and finally, the Cardinals are in last place now, like everyone thought they'd be. Now you can go away from Josh Dobbs. That's why they were never the last place team, but now they officially are the last place team.
I don't think it was the fact that they're not the last place team. I think it's the fact that they're being competitive in games. Like no one thought they would be competitive in games, and they are being competitive in games with Josh Dobbs. So I'm saying Josh Dobbs is being moved somewhere. There's no other reason you would sit him.
I agree with you. I think that's some good tea leaves. That it might be the Vikings injury, right? Is the heck Josh Dobbs on the Packers is probably better than Jordan Love. So yeah.
Dobbs had 2 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown yesterday, right?
Yeah, what?
I think so. Yeah, he had the touchdown to McBride, touchdown to Brown, and then he ran one in.
Like he's able, like, okay, he's not very good, but he's not that bad. Like he did better than Tyrod.
There are worse quarterbacks in the NFL starting right now.
He probably did better than Trubisky maybe yesterday. Like, and they had Dobbs. You know, it's one of those weird. I like Trubisky. I think he's one of the most unluckiest quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't think he's that bad.
I don't think there's that much difference between Trubisky and Pickett, quite honestly. Like, I think Trubisky has a better long ball than Pickett does.
At this point, you'd have to say there's not much different because you're not seeing much different. And that's terrifying.
No, it's just Trubisky's got more talent. That's really the only difference.
I don't see that big of a difference between Trubisky and Mayfield.
Sure.
Do you know what
I mean?
I don't
their dynasty values in fantasy football are basically just who's starting and who's not, right?
I don't see that big of a difference between Trubisky and Ritter. I don't see that big of a difference between Trubisky and, you could say at this point, yeah, you could say Love. You could say.
I didn't want to, but I was going to. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, you could. How big of a difference is it between Trubisky and Ryan Tannehill? Or Gardner Minshew?
Ankle right now, that's it.
Right? Or Gardner Minshew. Or there's a lot of guys you got to say.
Sure.
Not
that mushy middle of quarterback, they're all basically the same guy.
Yeah. It's
Derek Carr is basically all the same guys you just named.
I don't know.
I love working on Derek Carr. No, he's probably better than all of them.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Carr might be like.
No. Derek Carr.
If he's in the same tier with them, he's in the top of the tier.
He's probably the length of a B stick ahead. That's what I'll say.
That's the B League uses as a B stick as a measurement. That's A+ content.
All right, so Will Levis is starting. Will Levis is starting Thursday, for sure.
Against Pittsburgh, who have a pretty bad secondary. So.
Well, Minkah Fitzpatrick is out for a considerable amount of time, which doesn't help, and unfortunately, Levis's passing tree just goes long, and we're gonna get
got Hopkins, and that worked for Kyler.
Dude, oh my God, DeAndre Hopkins he's a beast. Like you put it in his vicinity, and he's gonna catch it.
Does that
Ryan Tannehill? What?
Right now, that Treylon Burks might be a buy low. If we've seen this from Levis,
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that take.
Treylon Burks, what?
Buy low. Because he's injured too, right? So if it's a contending team has him in Dynasty, they may want to get rid of him for someone who's actually active at scoring points. Rebuilding teams may view it as a situation they want to avoid.
When was he a buy high? Treylon Burks hasn't done anything.
Well, yeah, it would have been buy high as a rookie before he did anything. That was when his value was the highest.
I'm just saying.
He was going in like the 103 at times in rookie drafts.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually 103 to 105 most rookie drafts that year.
Okay.
Kyle, what would you give up for Burks? Who hasn't played since week 3, and he had about 7.5 points on average between week 1 and 2.
If I've like an older team that's that's going into a rebuild mode, I'm trying to get off of old productive receivers for Treylon Burks. So can I give up a Thielen, even add something to him to get Burks off someone who wants the points now?
He played 50% of the snaps.
Hopkins.
2 targets, no receptions.
So you would give up Thielen and get Burks? Is that what you're saying?
I think those would be the type of deals I want to do.
Straight trade?
I guess it depends, right? Like, Thielen's been smashing so much
exactly.
the scenario, like again, a contending team has Burks, they want him off their roster for points. So
Yeah, okay.
are they willing to give him away basically free for like Thielen, and then the rebuilding team gets what they want, the contending team gets what they want without anyone adding
I see what
extra
you're saying.
tax? Again,
I-
Hopkins is another guy. Like after the smash performance, if you make that sell, can you go sell Hopkins to get Treylon Burks plus a pick? Those would be the ways I'd want to like. Can I tier down to him as opposed to just like maybe
See what I mean?
can I
Crazy
get
to think about it. You're talking about this guy is going to throw it long. I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to try and get a little weird,
if I was like if I'm a contending team, do I really want to give up my late second for Burks? Like it's not even that like the value's off, but if I'm contending, I want to use that second on someone that can help me contend and win this title this year. So that's why I'm hesitant to say a second, because if I'm a rebuilding team in my early second, I don't think I'd want to give that up for Burks. So
yeah.
so a second would be tough for me. I think that's why I'd want to like pivot off a player.
I think I need to start sending like trades in the Dynasty League because.
Yeah, because everyone will just get annoyed that I'm the only one doing it. Sorry, Dan.
I made a trade last week. What are you talking about?
Sure, yeah, you did. You're good. No, I'm just. No, I was ripping on me for just like saying something else.
I don't.
I got done though.
I don't know though. Burks, like, what makes you think Burks is going to be better than he has shown he is?
I don't think he'd be worse.
Okay, that's a low bar. I mean, like,
it is a low bar, but I'm indifferent to Burks. I just want to make that clear.
Okay.
I'm just saying, we saw from Levis. I'm not a fan. I'm not for. I don't have any in Dynasty. But from what we saw from Levis, if his best trait is the long bomb, and we saw it last year with Tannehill with Burks a little bit. When they went long, every now and again they did connect. Not often. I think Tannehill had 13 touchdowns last year. Not many. I'm just saying in that regard, if we know that his best trait is to go long, and Burks is known for going long. Could this be something where someone is thinking, man, Burks in that game had 2 targets, Hopkins went bananas, and we're looking at it going, it's hard to go get Hopkins now in that regard.
yeah,
But Burks could be someone that we might be able to get on the cheap, take a dart throw at because he hasn't done anything with anyone. That could be a bargaining chip.
I see what you're
That
saying.
was the game that you didn't do it. I'll throw Curtis Samuel in a second for Burks at this point. I'm just
Again, pivot off the old receiver to get the young guy. Like that makes sense to me.
there we go.
Okay. I mean, it
It's
makes
something
sense.
else.
I mean, his
Curtis
skill
Samuel
set
hasn't
fits
been
Levis's
producing
skill set.
enough that you can like make it straight up. You probably have to add to it, but yeah, if you're trying to get off the age, that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that
All right.
happening.
But yeah, in that regard,
Could it get done for Curtis Samuel in a third? Again, like if and I think who has Burks, right, is key on that. Because if a rebuilding team has Burks, they may just want to hold him, and he's just not.
Yeah.
He's the perfect type of guy because he's not producing points right now. He's the perfect guy for a rebuilder. But again, if you're buying from a contender, Curtis Samuel in a third might. Curtis Samuel in 2/3, does that get it done? Like I know there's some chatter on like people are just done with Burks. Like he's done so little.
That's
So
what I'm saying. Like, it's so
it's a
funny.
good point to just go buy at the
Look at
cheapest
it.
price,
As
right?
well.
Like it makes sense, Dan, for sure.
People have fought harder for Rashad Bateman than they have for Treylon Burks. and that's the crazy thing to me. It's like, well, hang on, like the circumstances actually lining up okay for Burks at this point. It didn't show this week. And the good thing is it didn't have if Burks had have went off this week instead of Hopkins or with Hopkins, no one was selling Burks this week.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to get him just for a second anymore. You're right. Fair enough. Yeah. So, yeah, results process, right? So the quarterback's there. Our results this year for our picks so far have been pretty decent, I would say. Dan, you and I are actually tied right now. I've come all the way back to actually tie you. 12.
So I come back down. You didn't catch up. I went down.
Yeah. You've gone.
I've sunk.
Yeah, you've gone 2 and 10.
I gotta go back to
Yeah, you've gone 2
I
and
gotta go
10
back-
over the last 4 weeks.
I gotta go back to my shitty like quarterback over 2.5 yard rushing again. I just gotta go back to what
No,
was.
because
That's true.
that's
yeah,
what I
you-
have with Kirk Cousins, and he didn't even make that.
That's true. 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, and to be fair, like it's both because I've actually gone 7 and 2 over the last 3 weeks. So I've also caught up in a sense because I was awful. Like it wasn't that long ago. I was like 5 and 18 or whatever. No, not that much. But yeah, we're both 12, 13 and 2. Gladys still leading. 16, 9, and 2. And honestly, the difference really is spreads. Dan, you and I are awful at spreads. We're both 1, 6, and 2 in spreads this year.
Yeah.
So your streak
But I
recently
didn't
has
know-
been you have been hitting on the props, and that's been the problem. Because
But we-
before, when you were hitting on the
but we-
props and usually the over/under, because all three of us are 6 and 3 on the higher lowers, so we've all done well at that. But yeah, the big difference: Gladys is 4, 3, and 2 on spreads. Dan and I are 1, 6, and 2. And
Wow, okay.
slight edge to props. Gladys is 6 and 3. Dan, you and I are 5 and 4.
Yeah, that's close.
I also specified like positions for props. So, like for instance, I've already referenced it. I've gone 0 and 3 on wide receiver props this year, so I'm just avoiding it completely because I've gone 3 and 0 in quarterback props. Quarterback this week. Let's see what it works. I've got
I
2
feel
and
like
1 on
you're-
IDP as well. So
There's so many props that were there for like defense this week as well. It was like because of the low scoring totals. It was like
Tracy
Alpha
Walker,
football.
for anyone going for the defensive players, I know there's only the game starting in 7 minutes, but if anyone wants to lock in, like I kind of like that combined tackle total at 5.5. That was what I was kind of considering. If you look over the course of his career, it's been this year he's kind of been hit and miss on that 5.5, but for the course of his career, he's actually hit that often. So that was one where I was more confident in Goff, but that was good too. Gladys 2 and 0 in running back props this year so far. So you've hit both running backs that you've, which I think is going lower on Javonte Williams than going lower on Najee Harris. So it worked though.
Najee Harris is that's a cheat code right there.
And when you've gone yards, you've gone 5 and 1. You've picked any player's yards.
Yes.
So the only
Cousins?
So Kirk Cousins, exactly. He's the one loss on yards right now. You went 5 and 0 before then.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Dan, you got to catch up to Gladys. I probably won't because I'm not as good at this. So
I actually feel good about. I feel good about Mike Myers this week. If you're ever going to feel good about him, it's Halloween.
I feel good about it.
Quick recap as we head out of here. Both Gladys and Dan went with the Lions as 7-point favorites and higher on 47. I went the opposites. Raiders as 7-point underdogs and lower than 47. As
So me and
Dan
Gladys are
mentioned,
wrong there.
sorry.
Yeah,
Me and Gladys are wrong. Yeah.
exactly. The Kyle Turris,
so
we were okay with that.
Dan went Michael Mayer. Funny, Gladys and Dan both going with the Raiders receiving yardage, which I guess makes sense to the game script, right? The Lions will win by so much, the Raiders will have no choice but to pass.
Exactly.
Higher than 21.5 receiving yards for Michael Mayer as Dan's pick. Gladys went higher than 75.5 yards from Devontae Adams. I went, again, picking the Raiders with the Lions prop, Jared Goff, higher than 32.5 pass attempts.
We all should have got on Garoppolo over half an intercept as well.
Oh, because when you shared it, they only showed fumble. And
It wasn't there. It wasn't there. But I'm just saying, if it was there, all of us.
well, I did when we had the Raiders last time, and that was that ended my streak. I was on 4 props in a row that I got wrong, and the Garoppolo interception right the ship for me. And so I'm in 3 in a row I've gotten right since then. So
Gentlemen,
Everyone-
it's been a pleasure sharing Monday with you again.
of course.
I probably will not be talking to anyone until after Thursday because I have to get in the depression mode that the Steelers are going to put me in. Mitchell Trubisky and Kenny Pickett and Matt Canada are going to lose to Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans.
Scary dream, right? It's Halloween, but yeah, we don't want to be too scared.
Jesus fucking Christ. Will Levis. Come on. 4 touchdowns. That's ridiculous. Here's my question. If Will Levis throws 4 touchdowns and no one in fantasy has him, does it really even count? Does it even count? Because
Yes, because the
Dynasty
bench
managers
is all
had
over.
him. He was going in the
you
first
think
round.
dynasty managers played him?
Probably not. No, no
Yeah,
one has him in his
that's what I'm
lineups.
saying.
I
No
mean,
one had him in their lineups.
I'm sure rebuilding teams were. Like, I bet there's a couple of rebuilding teams that were trying to tank and
Everybody's
lose that
so
started
mad.
him, and so even they're not happy because that's exact opposite of what they wanted.
All right, bye. I will talk to you
Yeah,
gentlemen
so-
later.